All right.
Hi, everybody. My name is Bethany Jett, and I am so excited to be conducting some of the faculty interviews for Right to Publish. With me, I have Lieutenant Colonel Allen Satterlee. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this interview.
Very happy to be with you.
We're super excited, so we're going to jump right in. Can you tell us about you, something unique about you, and then tell us about your company?
Well, I've had the opportunity to serve in several countries, and that's, I suppose, is a unique thing. With Singapore and Papua New Guinea, and then Jamaica, so three very different countries besides the United States. So that's enriched our lives, my wife and I, and we've done that all in our service to the Salvation Army, which is our company. We're the Salvation Army. We have my particular responsibility is editor-in-chief, and with that, we have a couple of monthly magazines, and then we have also a scholarly journal, and then we publish books. But the main thing we're interested in, as far as this conference is concerned, are the two monthly magazines. One is geared toward youth. It's for young adults, called Young Salvationists. And even though Young Salvationist sounds like it's just our denomination specific, we do articles that from freelancers on subjects like depression and dating and so on and so forth, from obviously a very conservative Christian standpoint. So we are interested in those. And also our other magazine is called The War Cry. We're the second longest continually published Christian magazine in the United States. That's a mouthful.
Wow.
So we've been publishing since 1881.
Wow.
And our interests there are, of course, again, nonfiction pieces, but also I am interested in pieces that are short stories, Christian fiction, short stories. So I don't know if that helps you, but that's what our company is, the Salvation Army. The Salvation Army, as far as its beliefs are concerned, is a conservative Christian denomination. Of course, people know us for our social work and all that, but we are a denomination. Those of us who have ranks, like I'm a lieutenant colonel, simply means those of us with ranks are ordained ministers, and those then we have people who are members of our churches. There are about 1,300 Salvation Army. What we call them corps, but you would call them churches, local congregations in the United States. We're 128 countries worldwide, so we have a bit of a reach. The Salvation Army is a Wesleyan, as far as its theology, Armenian Wesleyan, but we, of course, we don't worry too much about. We don't query people about what their Christian denomination is, because there's so much common ground even between Calvinists and Wesleyans, Reformed. There's so much common ground that we find great areas of agreement with folks from other traditions. So I hope that helps in knowing something about the Salvation Army, what we're looking for.
It does. Now, can you tell us more? When you mentioned you're acquiring short stories and the nonfiction articles, do you have a word count for your short stories that you like to keep them between?
Yeah, it's kind of short. It's only about 1,000 words, and that's the same thing for the nonfiction articles. If it's nonfiction and people happen to have photographs that go with it, we of course need high resolution photographs. If they have them, it's not necessary, but if they do, we of course like to get those. Some stories we want to send out for illustration, so we need to get those earlier. So we publish on our website a list of our themes. You can get there that way, and we really need things. Of course, obviously, we prefer things that go with our theme, whatever that might be. And then, like for example, August, the theme is on kids, so just youth work and camp and stuff like that. And then, so obviously, if you write to the theme, you have a better chance of hearing back from us. And secondly, we look for a strong Christian message, and so I don't know if that's kind of answering your question the way you need to hear back from me on. But we have to be careful in fictions. The problem with a lot of Christian fiction is so much of it can sound very contrived. And, our readers, like any other readers, they don't like it where it's obviously, you can close your eyes and know where this is going. Not that we need to either. On the other side, that people do like a resolution at the end too. They don't want to be left hanging, but it's people. Real life isn't so neat. It's kind of messy, and sometimes you get a partial answer. You get, things go mostly the way you want, or you see the way things are going, and that kind of real life kind of outlook is what we'd like to see with our fiction writing as well.
Okay, that's fantastic, and that's a lot of great information for people who are, getting ready to come to the conference with their work. So at Write to Publish, the attendees get a chance to sit down with you and pitch their stories to you. Do you have some advice or tips for how to make the most of that 15 minutes with you?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not. Usually I just deal with people online, where they send their submissions to me. I don't have that much face-to-face with people. But one thing I would say to anybody, whether they see me, face-to-face or otherwise, is something about the Salvation Army. And for example, if you are writing, one of these short stories, and you decide you're going to say something about giving something to the Goodwill thrift store, well, that's not very good because we have our own thrift stores. So just keep in mind that we're not going to promote the competition, okay? Use good sense, all right? Use good sense. So I would say that to people is that when they talk to us, it might be good to go online, find out a little bit about the Salvation Army, so that when you talk to us, you can see where your work might fit in with what our goals are, and so on. Obviously, the Salvation Army is very action-oriented, so we're not we do some contemplative type works, but really what we look for on any kind of a story or any kind of a nonfiction piece is about how does the rubber meet the road, and how is this practical in my life, and so on. So we do some poetry, but we don't do very much because the poetry can tend to be a little too ethereal, and we really want to know how can I make this work in my life, or how can I see it modeled in somebody else's life. So I would say to people who are going to pitch things that they need to keep that in mind. And again, we're not quite into doing sci-fi, Christian sci-fi. I can't fathom that very much anyway. But it tends to be normal people and how they face things in a Christian way. Although, of course, we do profile pieces of well-known Christians, and we've done Franklin Graham and others like that in our magazine. So we do that as well. So you can just keep in mind outlook that we are looking for, and that will help us. I'm sorry, I lost you a second. Are you still
No, we're
there?
good. Yes, we're here. That's excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for going a little bit more in depth to that. That helps quite a bit, and I think it's going to help people when they're either writing stories in particular for you guys, or even after the conference, it's going to help them as well. At the pitch session, should somebody bring a completed story for you to look at, or do you want to see ideas for perhaps nonfiction articles? Is there anything in particular that they should have ready for you?
Well, I would say that they can bring hard copies. I prefer to see the finished work. I really prefer that, and because I find that queries sometimes are not as helpful for us to decide on, because there's different ways people can go with them and so on. We want to see the style of the writing and the care that the writer has put into the work. And because we are buying it, and we want to see the product. So they're welcome to bring their work with them, but we probably would also ask them to submit it electronically. So because I have other editors, our process is that we have at least 3 of our editors look at any one piece. So, and then I have the deciding vote on it. That's why I get paid the big bucks and all that. But I do look at what the others say about it. And so they need to know that. But again, they're welcome to bring it, and I can certainly, we can take a look at it and so on when they're there. But I really, like I said, I'd rather have it, you know, where the piece on its own without the personality shows its strength.
That makes a lot of sense. And our final question is about submitting online. So when someone submits online, are they putting in a query as well? What is the first thing that you're looking for when you get an online submission?
That's a good question. We have writers' guidelines on our website, which is, if you go, it's thewarcry.org is our website. Now, don't put just war cry, because you'll get some gaming site, so don't do that. And that's not us with things being blown up and all that kind of stuff. But it says writers' guidelines that give some information about the length and so on. But we prefer that they just submit the article or the story. They don't have to query. In fact, we just say, if you query, we'll just say, please send us the article and or the story, whatever it might be. Now, understand, we've not done much with Christian fiction. I've wanted to do something with Christian fiction, but we've not just had people submit it. They prefer to submit the nonfiction pieces. Nothing wrong with that. But I find that a short story, fiction story is right now, that's what I have a dearth of, is that kind of thing. So anyway, I hope that, again, the main thing is just send it to us. And we try to get back in 6 to 8 weeks. And then we pay upon acceptance. And I think you'll have to, I believe our rates are on there. I don't want to say, because I don't want to be wrong.
Right.
If it's a reprint, they need to tell us that, because there's a different rate for reprints. And they need to tell us when it was originally run, or when was the last time it was run, because sometimes people resell their work several times. And so on. I should say also one other thing, for our special editions, which are Christmas and Easter, those things should really be submitted to us. Christmas really should be submitted to us almost right now, because we close out that edition in the summer. It's our largest run on any of our magazines. Easter as well. Easter needs to be to us 6 months before Easter for consideration. So just they need to keep those things in mind, that those 2 editions, Christmas and Easter, we have a long lead time. We decide on the content way in advance, because we tend to do more with illustration, and that takes time to send it out to an illustrator and decide which book we want. So we and those are our biggest runs on the magazines.
That is fantastic information. So that's good to know too. So for those of you who are watching, if you have Christmas ideas, this is the time to go ahead and get them written and get them turned in. So thank you so much just for sharing just all that information about the magazine and all the insights into the submission guidelines and how people can write for you. It's very enlightening and exciting, and I just really appreciate your time. So thank you again.
Glad to do it. Thank you very much for having me.
And for all of you who are watching, we hope to see you at the Right to Publish conference in June. Be sure to share the videos, and be sure to come up and say hi to us at the conference. We can't wait to meet you. See you then. Bye-bye.